Sorry, my voice is a little haggard. Just type that in, and Jen here will go ahead and read me back the questions, and I'll be happy to answer those. So, reminder today, if you place your order today, is the last day you can get ground shipping in time for Christmas. So I know it seems like it should be further away, but you know how shipping companies are, they're jammed. So I just wanted to remind everybody, if you want ground shipping, get your order in today. You can still order up till midnight. So let's see. Around here, the guys across the street are fiercely packing orders from shipments that have, packing shipments from orders that have come in. I'll get it right. Jordan is busy on KOH prep, and otherwise we're just busy hustling on pretty much everything. We're also getting ready for our big Christmas crawl on Friday, so here in Simi Valley. And then, of course, we've got a number of EXS builds going on just on the other side of the wall right here. So we're pretty busy in general, which is a good thing. Today, we're going to do an open session, Q&A, for anything you guys want to talk about, Jeep related, hopefully, and builds, trail stuff, like whatever. So get those questions in. I don't care how big or small, how easy or dumb or whatever, no question too dumb. I'm sure there's other people out there watching that would love to have some of the questions answered as well. So Jen, why don't you tell me who's watching so far?
Your mom's watching.
Hey, Mom.
She says, hi, everyone.
All right.
Jeff Lone says, hi, everyone. Patrick Vaughan, hi, everyone in GenRight Nation. Steve Bird says, I wish I could be there for the Christmas crawl.
Yeah.
Laura Coda is watching.
Nice.
Shane Wolford is watching.
Big Shane.
Josh Nesser is watching. Ari. Zach Edwards. Richard Jadlowski. Kathy McCavis. Robert Hadley, Adam Halfley, Adam Barker, Matt McDonough, Anthony Paquette. Lots and lots of people are joining in and saying hi from all over the country.
Yeah, for those of you that follow me on Facebook, we were over at Josh's Christmas party last weekend, so maybe you saw some of those pictures. Wearing my new Christmas suit. Looked quite dapper, if I do say so myself. So
Sergeant Tommy is on, and Brighton says, hey guys.
All right.
Hi, Brighton.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so today I have my laptop hooked up to the screen. So as questions come in, I can show you guys where to find resources on the website. I do want to remind everybody that next Wednesday will be the 20th, and I will be doing some giveaway stuff on that show, so you're not going to want to miss that, because only the people win that are watching. So there you go, more motivation. Okay, so Jen, to kick it off, if you don't have any questions yet, you've got those ones I printed that you can start reading to me, and
we got a couple.
Okay, what do you got?
Robert Hadley asked, when moving the front axle forward, do you need to move the shock towers as well?
So when you're moving everything forward, it all depends on how much you're moving it forward, because you want the bump stop to hit in the middle of the axle. So you got to be careful that you don't just move the axle forward and then you can't get the bump stop in there. If you've got the coil over in there, it can lean a little bit, but it's really all about that bump stop. So if you bought one of our suspension systems, even our Legend, the instructions talk about that in some pretty big detail. And let me see if I've got, let's go here. I might even be able to show a little bit of that. No, that's not going to show it. Let me try. What other questions have you got?
Your mom wants to know the make and model and color of her Christmas Jeep.
Well, I can tell you that she'll be riding an Aftershock for the Christmas
Oh,
crawl.
you get a white JL.
Yeah.
The coolest one.
I was gonna see if I had, whoops, something here.
Robert
Yeah.
Wheeler asked, what is the best way to test fuel injectors on a 2008 JK? I have a multi-misfiring code or other possible issues to check.
That's a good question. Sometimes you can switch them around. The other thing that I do is I've got a hot rod shop near me that can clean the injectors. And what the guy does when he cleans them is he can see the pattern firing when he cleans them. And then he can tell me if one of them's bad. If Troy Merritt's watching, he just put some new injectors in and he might be able to give people an idea on where he found those. But he found some aftermarket injectors for his, so that would be helpful if he's watching. This isn't really the best shot. I was looking. This happens to be one of our what we call rock stomper bump stops. Remember, you can never use just the shock as the bump. You must have an external bump stop. But depending on how you mount it, let me go over to our bump and see if I can find something here as a better shot. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm literally just going to the search box and typing in any part of the word of what I'm looking for. So this is a great picture. You know, showing how the bump stop and the shock are side by side. And this is another shot because the rock stomper bump stop that we make that's got the EVS foam on the end fits in the same bump can that a King bump stop fits in. So you can always upgrade down the road. And again, this is on the rear, so you can see the bump stop straight over the axle and then the shock's a little bit tilted. By the way, that tilt is 90 degrees. Can you see my hands? Mm-hmm. 90 degrees from the control arms at ride height is the way you set that, if you ever wondered. Let's see what other...
Hey, Rick McGuire's watching. Yay!
All right, Rick.
Hey, Dr. LaForte asked, how tall is the GenRight JK build? Wife says we can't pull the trigger on a full GenRight build until she's sure it'll still fit in the garage.
Oh, okay. If you go over, I just started doing this. If, let's see, galleries, and then Aftershock. So
JK.
What's that? Yeah, well, hang on. There's more to it than that. It's a little bit more complicated. If you scroll through here and you click on this right here and open specs.
Click on what?
Are you not following me?
I can't.
Okay.
The screen's much lighter than your...
There's a little, right here it says vehicle specs and there's a plus. If you just click on that, it'll open up all the specs. And this is on every build we have. I think we started adding height and width and everything on the builds. So what I was going to do, my point was, yeah, I know you're asked about our JK, but you could probably go over, whoops, I don't know which one that grabbed. That was JK. And maybe view something. Let's see if I did it on Terramoto or not.
Anthony says just air down the tires and then you can still fit.
You can. The other thing you can do is you take the winch out. Can they see where my finger's pointing?
Yeah.
You pull out a bunch of cable, you throw it underneath the Jeep and you hook it to the back bumper and you can suck that thing down and pull it in anywhere you want. Doesn't take much. Okay, so this is the new gallery where we show the original Terramoto, then Terramoto that I raced, and then Terramoto as it is now. So let's see if that spec is in here. But yeah, we started including the different height, width, length. We get asked that way too often. And I just don't know whether this has that in there or not. No, I'll have to add it to this. So let's see. I'm trying to, I don't remember the dimension off the top of my head on what even aftershock is to the hardtop, you know, on 40s. But it basically, my Jeeps on 40s are the same as everybody else's on 37s, the height of the Jeep. So we can run a bigger tire and they sit lower. So, but maybe that's a good one to just email me and I can reply with some dimensions for you. What else you got?
Let's see. Daniel Partita says 2017 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited installed new Synergy adjustable ball joints and feels like it wanders. Heard there's a break-in period for certain ball joints. Jeep doesn't fully return to center. Caster is at 6 degrees.
This is a great question. Okay. Anytime you put brand new steering components in, especially the ball joints in the knuckles, okay, which is what this gentleman is talking about, they're very tight. So what happens is what we call memory steer. So meaning, you know, you turn the wheel a little bit to keep it on the road and it just sticks there. So then you got to correct for it, and then it sticks there. So typically what I do is I'll mob some ditches and curbs and a bunch of junk to get it to loosen up, or you just deal with that and, you know, kind of, it'll get better at some point. So, but great question. Every new Jeep build that I deliver, I have to explain that to the customer, every single one.
Zach Edwards asked for more videos on the TJ to LJ kit.
More on the TJ to LJ. Has he been over to our YouTube channel?
I don't know.
We should. So again, you could do a search on this page. And here's a whole walkthrough I did. There's a couple. We show some of the vehicles in action, but this is probably the one you want to see. And then there's another one down here that we did as part of a tech talk. But you can see we've actually got several up there. So head over to our YouTube channel and you can see what I did. I just typed in TJ to LJ in the search box. Now, don't search up here, okay? You're searching the entire YouTube library. You want to search the GenRight site right here, okay? So anytime you come over to GenRight's YouTube, you search within here is for GenRight specifically.
Bruce Huntington said he's soon to be new cage owners for my JK and JL.
Nice, nice. Awesome. Thanks for the business.
Jorge says, hey, Tony, I have a 2001 Jeep TJ. Just wanted to start building it. It's my daily driver, but also weekend warrior. What do you recommend?
So that is a whole nother question. So let's go back over. I'll just open another window here. And what we want to do is go to our galleries and look at the TJs. And in here, you are going to see all the different TJs. Actually, this isn't as many TJs as I expected. Let's go over to LJ, because when Andrew first started building his, he kept it on smaller tires for a while. And do I see that here? It looks like we don't have, unless it's hiding in here. Let's take a look. Jamie's just been updating all of our galleries now. That's just the newest build. Okay, so what you need to do is, it would be helpful if you're asking a question, you tell me whether you have a standard model Jeep or you have a Rubicon. That makes a big difference in what I can advise you to do. So in this case, I'm just going to talk about it in terms of a standard. So with a standard Jeep, you're probably only going to want to go to 35s. Once you go over 35s, then you have to change the axles because you'll need to at least be on 44s to go to a 37. Now TJ is also a short wheelbase, right? So what I don't want you to do is lift it. So Andrew, that's one of the things I was going to show you on Andrew's Jeep, was for a long time he left this thing on 37s, and I wish we had that in here, because it made a big difference. All he did was put on our high fenders, and then he was able to actually run the bigger tires without lifting it. So that makes a big difference, and everything I got in here is just heavily built. So I apologize. We're working on fixing all this right now. So what I want to caution you against is putting too much lift. In the old days, now, I'm talking 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you used to have to put on a 6-inch lift to get 4 inches of lift, because everybody used to put a bunch of steel crap on it. And you'd put 1,000 pounds worth of steel junk on it, bumpers, fenders, rockers, corners, all that stuff, and it would literally weigh it down. Today, you don't even want a 4-inch lift. Everybody's after like a 2, 3, 3.5. And the other thing you can do is go with our high fenders. So our high fenders give you an instant 3-inch lift, or looks like a 3-inch lift. So that's a big difference. So a lot of the time, you can just do a 1-inch body lift and then the fenders, and you'd have all the clearance you want to run your 35-inch tires. So because the moment you start lifting it, it's going to change the way it drives. And then you got to modify the steering, the brake lines, the drive shafts, and it's never going to drive the same when you're trying to do it inexpensively. Now, you want to start talking about buying our suspension system, that's a totally different deal. We can fix everything, but I'm trying not to suck you into, $100,000 build. I'm trying to keep you at a level where you can, not that you can't drive ours on and off road, but most of the time, once you start modifying these things, it starts, running off the path. So just be aware of that. What else you got?
David Smith said, 06 Tracer LS3. Should I run a remote engine oil cooler with fan? Already planning to run cooler for transmission.
Yeah, so the tranny's an absolute must. The oil cooler will 100% depend on what your oil temperature is. So here's the baseline. The baseline is, if your water is running 210, your oil should not be more than 230. You want no more than a 20-degree spread between the two temperatures. So just keep an eye on that, right? It's not the end of the world if it's 25 degrees, but you want to keep that 20-degree window is really ideal, okay?
Okay, Adam Barker said, TJ Tracer versus LJ Tracer build major differences. I know LJ over TJ, but I do wheel in the Northeast with tight trails, so just doing some due diligence.
Okay, good question. So the Tracer platform is one that is lower, right? Let me see if I think we took some of these pictures when we took Peter's. Take a look here. Here we go. Okay. So with the Tracer platform, what we did was we lowered this center section, and that flattened the links, which changed the amount of anti-squat. And it really keeps the Jeep planted, but propels it forward. So big difference there. But from TJ to LJ, the characteristics and the performance of it are very similar, where it's got a lower CG, where the Legend kit, has a higher belly, but it also has a higher center of gravity, where this keeps the center of gravity low. Remember, the Tracer platform, which was originally built on this Jeep, was designed around an LS3 with a 4L80. And if you ever have a chance to look under the hood of one of our Jeep builds, the motor sits 3 inches lower than any other Jeep. But normally they can barely close the hood, even with the factory style manifold, and ours is like just way down there. So the idea here was really keep that center of gravity low. There's no body lift required on these. Just a big difference when it comes to the tracer in that regard. And the tracer also was the first TJ or LJ suspension that we did a 2.5 diameter coilover on, so that was possible as well.
Yanni's Jeep asked, what suspension system would you recommend for the two-door JL, assuming you want to run 37-inch tires?
Okay, so let's get out of here. And let's shop by vehicle. Two-door JL or two-door JK?
JL.
JL. Okay, so on the two-door JL, you really don't need any lift. Let me actually go. I don't know that I have. So one of the things about the JL is that with the standard, a lot of people are putting 37s on, even with standard fenders. You know, like if you look at this one, scroll down. So this one has no lift. This is a factory Rubicon with 37s, and you know, if you start lifting it again, just like I was telling the TJ guy, you're going to screw up the steering, the driveline angles, the brake lines. None of that was made to be lifted, and it'll really change the characteristics of the Jeep. So what I typically recommend is this. Most people think this looks like it sits too low. So to fix that, you just put our fenders on, which moves it up, and then it has a much better look. Let me see if I can find you a shot of that. Let's go back. Now these are 35s. Let's see what we got here. I mean, this is another good example Jeep.
Oh, look at that gorgeous Jeep. Oh my God, that's the prettiest Jeep I've ever seen.
I guess this is the best side shot. Okay, so this has no lift. This is absolutely 100% right off the showroom floor with 35s and our fenders, and you can see that it looks like it would easily take a 37. So, yeah. I mean, that's a great example right there.
What a beautiful Jeep.
I know it's not a two-door, but it's all the same. What else you got?
VB Tom asked, when do you need limit straps?
As far as I'm concerned, even a stock Jeep like this needs limit straps. In fact, do yourself a favor and climb under your Jeep that looks like this. The fasteners, the hardware, everything that's holding this together is like so minimal. You're one backup away from just ripping out the shock and the spring. Remember, the only thing holding the suspension in your Jeep right now is the shock, and it's backed up by a tiny little brake line and some electrical that runs to one of your wheel sensors, of which, by the way, if you jack up, your Jeep's not gonna run. So put limit straps on right now. Yep.
Okay. Ari said, I believe my EXS is 80 inches to the top of the GPS on the roof.
There you go. And he's on 40s. So.
Oh, Ari said he went and measured it 78 inches.
Oh, even better. There you go. Okay.
Your mom said, when I buy a car, I check trunk height and size for my golf clubs. Can't be too high for me to lift my clubs in.
There you go.
And Cameron Harris said he always checks garage height at a house.
Yeah. What you need to do is, I don't know if you know this, but if you've got one of those sectional garage doors, you just add one extra panel and, you know, give your garage door a lift so you can pull something bigger in.
Anthony Chevalier asked, did you decide if you were going to start making an aluminum gas tank filler bezel to replace OEM and blend better with the aluminum corner guards on a TJ?
I did not decide that since last Wednesday, but thank you for reminding me. I will make myself a note.
Ari asked, when will the high fenders for the JLU be ready? So does Aqua Jeep Girl wants to know.
Well, you guys are getting ahead of me. That's a 2024 product.
It's going to be 2024 in like 2 weeks.
December's been my only month that I wasn't at Jeep events. So.
Everybody loves that you're so willing to field questions and knowledgeable.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's why I'm here.
Don't use your shocks for a limit strap.
Do not.
Robert Wheeler, where's the best place for limit strap and length for a JKU 2017?
So a lot of people will try and put it somewhere by, the shock absorber. Sometimes they'll even use the same 2 bolts that the shock absorber. If you do decide to do that, if you have enough length on your bolt, you can add a second nut and sandwich the limit strap by doing that. That's the safest, easiest bolt-on way. Otherwise, it's going to require you to add some tabs, of which I can show you. So we have a whole DIY tab section, and we sell tabs in different styles. So here's some with a radius on the bottom, so like if you're welding them to the axle tube, and here's some that are flat bottom, and this will give you an idea here. So here you can see one's welded to the inside of the frame and then the other one's down on the axle. This is the ideal way to do it, right? Because now you're not relying on shock bolts, because those tabs can break off too. So you want this to really be on its own. But I'll take anything I can get. Trust me, anything you can do is better than nothing. That's for sure. Okay.
Pete asked, what's the wheelbase of Bowtie TJ? I got my TJ at 108 with your Legend kit. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, 108's good, and depending on, you're probably on 40s would be my guess. That's a great length to be on a 40. So, yeah, that's good. The new Bowtie / tuxedo now is 115.
Okay, DJ just has a 2012 JKU installing a GenRight cage. You guys made it easy. Got the B-pillar chop and wondering what the tube clamp connects tacks to on the B-pillar. Pictures on the website look different.
Oh, they do? Let me look.
Troy's here. Kelly's here.
Nice.
Kathy McCavis is here. Hi, guys.
Okay, let's look at what we got here.
We're doing Christmas giveaways next Wednesday, right? That's the Christmas giveaway show?
That's next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, Clint.
But thanks for being on the ball.
Yep.
Let's, this is JL anyways, hang on. JK.
Kathy says, I think you were an auto shop teacher in a past life. You explain things really well. Yes,
well,
you do.
Look, when I got into this, I didn't have anybody that did a good job of explaining it. They were all talking way over my head. That's why some of the first tech talks I did were on terminology, so that everybody could understand, when you're talking about anti-squat or caster or, all these different things that everybody, I try and make it so everybody can understand, because that's half the battle. Okay, let's take a look here. And then here's the B-pillar kit.
Kelly's in Cabo San Lucas right now.
Is he really?
Lucky guy.
Wow.
Is it warm?
I had no idea.
I'm asking Kelly. Is it warm?
Okay, here's the picture. You can see it. So this is that clamp. So it's welded to the inside of the top on the B-pillar, and then it clamps to the cage. And this makes it really strong. And that picture is on our website if you just scroll through the pictures. Now that you know what to look for. The kit, if I remember right, let's go two more pictures here. That's the bottom. More, okay. So this part of the kit is what seals off the back side of the B-pillar as it opens up. In fact, hand me one of those B-pillars right there. I think right there in the box.
Right here?
Yep. Let's see what those look like. There we go. Okay, so this is a JK B-pillar, and when you put your cage in, you didn't cut it like this, you sliced it like this. So this little plate right here covers that up, and then it gives you a place to weld that clamp to the back, the half of it to the back. And then that's what clamps it onto our cage, because our cage is more narrow than the factory cage. So if I go back to here, now you can see, you know, that piece there and how that clamp is put on the back. So if you cut away too much material, then you're just gonna have to add some steel in there to get it off at the right spacing. If you didn't already take a measurement between the two pillars, you might be able to go back and look at your hard top and get a dimension. There's 2 bolts that go into the top of that, and you should be able to get that put in the right position. Okay?
Okay, let's see. There's a belly pan question.
Okay?
And I lost it. Okay, well, Anthony Atkinson asked, in your YJ budget build, would you replace the AX15 with an auto TF904 if the AX15 needed work?
Well, that's, okay. A great question, but that's a big changeover. So in order to do that, you'd have to find a brand new ECU because normally the throttle pedal position is also controlling what gear it's in. Unless you convert to a full manual valve body automatic transmission, then you can get away with that. So little bit complex. I certainly, from a wheeling standpoint, I totally prefer the automatic. And it is possible to do. I did it on my old YJ, and you know, it just, I had to find the right stuff from the donor vehicle and then do that whole transfer over. Yep.
Travel For You said, I have a 2018 JKU Sport. I keep smelling antifreeze after parking in my driveway. No leaks. Would there be an issue with the coolant system parts?
There could be. Even though you don't see anything on the ground, I need you to monitor what the level is either in the overflow tank or in the radiator itself. It could be a bad seal on the front of the water pump. It could be, I hate to tell you this, but a leaky heater core. You know, so it's one of those things. But if you smell coolant, this is not like wine. It will not get better with time. So I'd get after figuring that out.
Okay, Adam Barker, belly pan height of Legend versus TJ.
Well, our belly pan is 2 inches up from the standard TJ, if that's what he's asking. And I might even have, let me see if I have a picture of that, like in one of these. So, you know what the factory TJ one looks like. It's like a shovel hanging down, and this is all nice and tucked up. So, I mean, that's really nice clearance. And this matches, this happens to be put on our double triangulated rear cross member. That is just a beautiful kit because it bolts all in here. It positions the rear cross member in the right spot, and you just weld it in. It's really quite nice.
Lamont said, Tony, I have a 76 CJ-7, my favorite body style. Can I get the performance chassis like a Legend?
You can, yeah. Not the whole chassis, but you can definitely buy the Legend kit, and the nice part about that is it's a builder's kit. And what you'll have to do is there's a few mods you have to make to it. So we'll just look at this one for the YJ. It's similar. So here's the, remember, anytime you see a picture on our website, if you click on it, it'll open up even bigger. So on a CJ, you can see how these brackets that fit on the frame, they wrap around it. You have to make it into an L shape because the CJ frame is a slightly different height. So just by lopping off one side of it, which is typically the top, then you can make this fit right on the CJ. But anybody, and we talked about doing this on our budget YJ, if you put this kit, even, you know, the standard shock is 14 inches, but if you put it with a 12-inch shock and you're only running 35s, this will feel like a luxury car. You're talking about super smooth ride, proper geometry. You will be able to lengthen the wheelbase a little bit, which in the CJ5 case would be really nice because that's quite short. But you can use your factory axles, you can use aftermarket axles. This builder's kit is what we call it. You've got a wide variety of things that you can do, and it comes with like 60 pages of instructions that explain each one of the steps and consideration, you know, where you put the front shock towers, where you put the rear shock towers, where you put the brackets. You know, we give you recommendations like go under this, you know, on the frame. And, but that is, you know, what that kit is all about for sure.
Okay, DJ had a couple follow-up questions on
Sure.
the cage. He
Sure.
said, okay, so no need for the L bracket that came with the cage at the top of the B pillar. Awesome. Is that right?
No need for the L bracket. Well, we had a couple different ways. There was, let me see if I can find it.
It's a JK GenRight cage.
JK.
And one more, he says, rear
Sure.
harness crossbar support tubes. Do I use these with the Elite kit towers and the tower tie-in kit, or do I scrap the tubes?
Do I use?
The support tubes. Crossbar support tubes.
Well,
Rear harness.
Hang on. Let me
We're stumping
fix
Tony.
the one thing here. No, not stumping me.
No.
I just gotta like show the pictures. So, well, okay. So let's talk about X-Bar.
Can't be done. Can't be done.
Okay. So I think what he's talking about is this. So let's click on this. Okay. So he said JK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this tube that still has to be put in, and then the X-Bar wraps on either side of that tube. That is an integral, hopefully they can see that pretty well, integral part. And I can try and find here's another picture of it from the back. But yeah, that harness bar still needs to go in there, if that's what he was asking about.
Well, so rear harness crossbar support tubes. Do I use these with the Elite kit towers and the tower tie-in kit, or do I scrap the tubes?
I think now what he's talking about is this back here. So there's a tower tie-in kit that goes from the bottom of this cross tube right here. Let me see if there's another picture. Can't quite. Here, this is it. So there's the cross tube, and there's the tower tie-in kit right there. So it comes off the bottom of that. Now, what he might be talking about is there's another tube that goes over here if you don't have the towers. So then that one you can scrap and you only use this. That might be what he's talking about. Let me see if I have another picture of that. Hang on. Let me go back. So he said JK. Cage. Kit. I'm just looking for the right picture to show. We're not going to have it. Dang it. Oh, you can kind of see it right here, but there is a tube that runs down. Yeah, you get rid of that and then you do it to the towers is the answer. Yes.
Okay.
Good question.
Let's
Haven't ever
see.
had that one before.
John Williams said, I want to do a belly tuck on my YJ with a 4-link front and rear. Is it best to do a slip yoke eliminator for the rear? And how can I not need track bars?
Well, okay. That's a great question. So slip yoke eliminator for sure. You want to do that even if you weren't linking it. That's what we did on 4Shock right here. Because if that drive shaft, if something happens to that drive shaft and it comes out, all your T-case fluid is going to be on the ground. So you definitely want to have that buttoned up. Now, from a suspension...
Yeah, that's what he was asking about the cage.
Yeah.
Didn't stump him.
Good.
That's exactly what he was asking.
Okay. All right, now on the YJ, we're back to our Legend kit, right? So let's go... Where were we just at here? Come on, baby. There we are. Okay. So I want to take you back to this picture right here. Okay. So this is the reason you don't need a track bar on once you do one of our coilover type suspensions, because we triangulate the rear. And in this case, it's even a little bit double triangulated. We do make one that is completely double triangulated, but in this case, this is just the best illustration I have to show you guys. And what this does is because of its triangulation, it doesn't let the rear axle walk back and forth, which means you can eliminate the track bar and still have bind-free articulation, which is absolutely what you want. Now in the front, what we do is we eliminate one of the top links and we only have one, so we call it a 3-link. But we still use a track bar, but the track bar in the front is exactly the same length as the drag link in the steering system, so you don't get any bump steer. So as the vehicle travels, you can hold the wheel straight. You're not like chasing it as you're going over the bumps. And that's when we're always telling you guys we have all this figured out and we've done all the homework and optimized everything. That's all the kinds of things. This is great that you're asking this question because rarely do I get to talk about what is bump steer. Why does that even matter to me? Well, not even when you're off-road, even when you're on-road and you just go through a dip in the road, have you ever had to chase it, to stay going straight? Well, that's because you have bump steer. And what you want to do is eliminate that with proper geometry. And the only way you do that is by cutting off all the factory stuff. And you start over with the good stuff that's thicker, it's welded into the right location, and then you've got a real suspension under your Jeep that is going to be the last one you put it on and last you for years and years and years.
Can you do a cage for a JKAU with a Jeep Works 10-inch stretch?
A cage? Oh, because they're doing the JKL is what they're talking about. No, we really can't. The only thing I could suggest is that you take one of our 4-door cages and try and shorten it up and make it work. Or you could buy our 2-door cage and lengthen it. Those would be your 2 options.
Lewis asked, putting Curry Extreme 60 axles and running 40s on JT with a 6-inch GenRight fenders and sliders, East Coast wheeling with your experience, what would your perfect JT have for hard trails?
My perfect JT would have 42 or 44-inch tires, and I'd bob the bed, and because the wheelbase is so long. I'm not a fan of big fenders. I know that a lot of people need it for tire coverage to get by, to be legal. But I want that thing as narrow as I can get it. That's a long wheelbase that you're dragging through tight stuff. So, yeah, I mean, 40s is the bare minimum for, that long wheelbase for sure. So, what else you got?
Okay, let's read one of these
Sure.
email ones. Tony, I have a question for Tech Talk that I've been too nervous to ask during the live stream. Or it could be a poll question you ask around the office. Like, when you ask the first part to buy for your Jeep, I would like to know from you and the team, with what they know now, what model Jeep would they start their build with to eventually become a full GenRight build on 40s? Because my wife only wants a 2-door Jeep. What 2-door Jeep would you start with? I'm asking because we have an '06 TJ, and I wonder if it would be better to start over with something else. At some point, I would like a rig as capable as the ones you build. For now, I'm closer to the budget YJ build than anything else.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. So,
Philip.
So I would recommend what we did here on what we now call the Tuxedo. So this was a TJ, and we turned it into an LJ. And there's if you go to buy an LJ, you're talking about you pay top dollar for it. And if you're just going to modify it anyways, you might as well start with a TJ. You can find one with the engine and tranny that you want. You can see, this has our Legend suspension on it, and we were able to get it, by using the shock towers that come in the TJ to LJ kit. We were able to drop this thing down. These are high fenders on there, and you can see this has the high clearance belly pan. The links are nearly flat, and if you're really wanting to build a trail capable rig, this is awesome, because remember the TJ, if I can flick through here, is 4 inches more narrow, TJ LJ, 4 inches more narrow than a JK or a JL. So that platform is really, quite good once you get it up to that 115-inch wheelbase. And, you're out there, taking charge on any trail you want. It's about 1,000 pounds lighter than a JK, and you've got the, again, with our suspension, triangulated. We were just talking about this, how you remove the track bar. When you do all that, you get to put a bigger gas tank in. This has a 26-gallon tank, so that's pretty nice. There's another view of the tank. You can see nothing hangs down on the bottom of these Jeeps. Everything's tucked up, smooth.
Okay, here's another one.
Sure.
A 1993 YJ manual transmission with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. First off, thank you for the YJ build for Shock. That's a great series to watch over and over and over. My question is, I'm getting a 1993 YJ manual shift, and it has a 2.5 4-cylinder in it. I want to do the same build, but probably need to pump up that engine. What motor do you suggest as a drop-in motor? I run high desert and fire roads. Or can I get away with what I have? First Jeep project. Thank you again for doing a normal Jeep build.
Okay. So we don't get to talk about this enough, but Cameron's TJ, this has been in the GenRight family for a long time, and many of you are very familiar with this Jeep. This is a manual gearbox 4-cylinder. 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and this thing goes everywhere. And that's escalator. Here's rocker knocker. I mean, he's just wheeling this. That's on 40s. Now he did just do our TJ to LJ kit. So now it's even more capable. So he sold off his cage, he put in a genuine LJ cage, and you know, now he left the 4-cylinder. And by the way, even at our Real Hammers Experience time trial run that we did, he came in third behind the V8s. So I don't think that the 4-cylinder was hurting him that much. So yeah, unless it's high miles or blown or anything. Now, okay, all that said, say it is high miles or blown. If you're gonna go through the trouble to change the engine, I want you to go to a V8. Just put a 5.3 liter in. You can buy those things cheap. You know, you can get one reasonable miles out of a junkyard for $1,000. You might as well just get the transmission with it too, and the wire harness and the whole thing. You can usually pay $2,000 for that and throw it in. Now you're still gonna have a radiator, headers, motor mounts, a few other things, which probably adds up to like another $5,000 worth of stuff. So, you know, that's where you're at.
Dr. LaFour asks, are there any diagrams or specs showing how much internal space the shock towers take up on the JK Elite kit?
I don't know. Let's look. It's not a ton. Let me see here.
Texas Rubicon says, greetings from NASA. Nice. Are you at Atlantis? I want to go there so bad.
Oh man. Let's see. That's yeah, JK Elite.
Speaking of this, he says, what is the approximate cost for a TJ to LJ conversion with Legend suspension?
Well, so there's so many different options when it comes to like Legend suspension. Do you already have rockers? Do you already have corners? Do you already have one of our gas tanks? Are you going to run aftermarket axles or try and stay, you know, more narrow? Because that's going to depend on whether you run a 2-inch shock, a 2.5-inch shock. That's really one of those things where you need to call in, talk to somebody like Andrew, and he can step you through all the different options. But I need you to think about this. Almost always when somebody builds a Jeep here, you know, customers come in, they're like, no, I don't want to go bigger than a 37. They leave here and within 2 weeks, they're back going, you're right, I should have gone to 40s. So I really need you to think about who are the people you're wheeling with. Because if they're on bigger tires than you either need to get new friends or you need to get bigger tires. So let's be honest, that's how it works. At some point, they're gonna get tired of waiting for you. So either you gotta step up or you gotta step out. That's the bottom line. Okay, let's look at what we got here. I was pretty sure we had a picture of the inside. So I think someplace we've got dimensions here, but you can see the seats still come up. Oh, here's another picture of those shock tower tie-ins. Nice. I wish I would have looked here. But I think this is only 3 inches per side, and it's only for like a 10-inch section up toward the seat. So it's really, you know, and in mine, I have my fridge still slides in and everything. So it really doesn't take much space.
He is at Atlantis.
Is he?
I'm jealous.
Okay, so that was the question on the shock towers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the next question, or was there another part to it?
I don't think so. Well, that was...
Was that question?
It was
or
about...
was that one online?
The motor, what motor drop-in?
I talked about that already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TJ as said, I'm fabbing some coilover mounts for my TJ out of tubing. Do I need to tie them together with a bar over the engine?
You do. That's an important aspect. And the way we do it is, here, let's just click on this.
Rich said, that hurt, Tony. I keep up.
Okay, so here's the typical configuration.
Anthony says you should put it on a t-shirt. Get new friends or bigger tires. that would make a cool t-shirt. Get new friends or bigger tires.
Oh, man. I know, sorry. So this actually looks like a picture of my old YJ when we first dropped in the V8. The headers are all shiny and everything. Anyways, yeah, you want to tie the two towers together. The frames, you know, you're in a spot where you could get a lot of flex, and what you don't want to do is stress this top portion where they're welded. So by putting it all together, it becomes much stronger. So yeah, you definitely want to do that.
Would a MJ to diesel 4-cylinder conversion be a reliable option?
I know, you know, there's Bruiser Conversions used to do the diesel. They stopped doing it for some reason, but I've seen people do it. People do it all the time, so definitely an option.
Okay, DJ said, found some 74.5-inch wide Curry 70s for a great price, but want to run the GenRight Elite. Can I use these axles with the Elite kit? 42-inch tires is what I'm looking to run. Came with the axles.
What size?
42s.
On 20s?
It doesn't say on 20s, just 42-inch
hopefully
tires.
It's 20s. Because if it's on 20s, then you could run a 6-inch backspace wheel, and it doesn't matter that the axles are a little bit wider. And that would improve the scrub radius. So I got to have all the details.
Jacob Stewart said, I see some members of GenRight with YJs and TJs that are doing a custom back half recently. Do you recommend going that route?
No. If you only knew, so Jordan, my son, is one of them, and he comes here after work, and he works till 10, 11 o'clock every single day, every week. So 7 days a week, he's here working for 5 to 6 hours per night, and he's been doing that for months. So unless you have that kind of time, I don't recommend it, no.
Oh, Laura Coda said, how many indicator lights on the dash can be on before I need an engine swap? 90,000 miles on my stock engine. She can't get up muddy, steep climbs or deep sand.
Oh, it's time. It's time.
My check engine light eventually started flashing when it was serious about needing a new one.
Yeah, but if it's limiting her from getting uphill,
Yeah.
it's definitely taking stuff out. So yeah.
TJ said, yeah, I was fine on 37s until my dad got 43s.
See?
Are you coming to EJS?
And your dad's kind of a one that you can't just ditch. I know when my dad and I both had Jeeps, we were doing that too, you know, so I was on 33s, and then when I wanted to go to 35s, I sold my 33s to my dad. Then when I wanted to go to 37s, I sold my 35s to my dad. Then when I wanted to go to 40s, I sold my 37s to my dad. So he just kept getting my hand-me-downs.
Then he moved away.
Yeah, then he moved away.
Do I need to use a GenRight belly skid with a Legend kit, LJ?
Well, I mean, you don't have to. That's one of the things about the Legend kit is you can do whatever you want. It's a builder's kit, and you can use all of it, part of it, none of it. It's 100% up to you. I know the way we built the system, it works really good. So I would encourage you to use what we have. But if you're like, hey, my skid plate looks similar, you know, why do I have to buy a brand new skid plate? Then make it work, you know, for sure.
Let's see. Matt McDonough wants to know where DJ found those axles. So tell him. But that's across 2 platforms. I should have got new friends.
By the way, Jordan is building his YJ, I think with JL, or I think they're JL 44s.
Ari says Alan runs 74-inch Curries on his Elite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
That's wide. You got to know that your sidewalls are going to take a beating out on the trails.
Steve asked, can I run the Elite without coilovers?
You can. Let's go find, again, back to our gallery. Go to JK. Then I want you to go down to this Jeep right here, Genesis.
Genesis.
And this Jeep is exactly what you're asking about. So this is our full Elite system on coil springs and standard shocks. So there you go. So what they did was they hand fabbed up some coil spring bottom mounts, and they modified our track bar to make everything fit. So, you know, when I always tell you guys it's all about packaging, when you got to put this giant coil spring in there, the packaging, how to fit it all together becomes very important. So it is possible, and this is coils front and rear. The coil springs are still in there with a rear track bar as well. So it is definitely possible. And you can see this Jeep is in our gallery over on our website.
Scott Williams says, I'm running 40s and outwheeling my friends on 42s and 43s, so I'm going to keep my tires and my friends.
There you go. There you go.
Good job. Craig Huffman said he'd buy that shirt. Let's see. What is your opinion of a stroker swap in an LJ if high horsepower cost of an LS is not desired?
Okay, then you should talk to my guy Andrew Harris on the sales desk. That's exactly what he did. He opted to go that route. Here in California, a lot harder to get a V8 smog legal. He opted for the stroker, and that's what. And that's, by the way, let's go over there. That is pay dirt. So again, you can just do the search, and nope, I guess not. We're gonna have to go back to the gallery for his LJ.
Oh, that's cool. DJ went over to YouTube and answered the question about where he got the axles.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay, so this is Andrew's Jeep that has that stroker engine, and I think we've got a picture of it in here. Yeah, right here. So this is on 40s, you know, fully built tracer, but stroker engine and factory manual transmission. And this is daily driver, so he did the stroker engine, and works great. So he had a radiator made, and yeah, good Jeep. Drives it all the time. So
TJ asked for a TJ LS swap. What options do I have for a dash? The Holly 12-in for 2K is steep. On that note, would you do an LS swap or a 4.6 stroker?
So I think that was part of the reasoning behind what Andrew did was, you know, not only because the engine, by the time you do the engine, it's almost a straight across trade. Now you're talking about all the rest of the compatibility. Remember, his exhaust bolted back in. Sure, he needed a little bit bigger radiator, but it's still put in the stock spot. You know, all the gauges still work. There's a lot of considerations once you move off this straight 6-cylinder platform that when you go to a V8, you know, you're going to have to figure out a way to adapt all this stuff. Now, Novak used to make a ECU buddy, they called it a little buddy, that would allow all of your gauges to work. I haven't asked them in a long time. I don't know if they do that. But RPM Extreme back east makes a conversion that does allow you to run the GM computer for the engine and then talk to the other TIPM, you know, inside the Jeep. So yeah, there's definitely options out there. Or, you know, you just put in a whole new gauge cluster and, you know, you can do, they sell like autometer packs that you can do that, or you can do the digital dash like you're talking about from Holley. Those are definitely all options. Yep.
JKUR, if running 14-volt rear and 07 Ford 60 on the front, where do you suggest I start trying to convert over to something like an Elite kit? Do the axles need to be Curry?
No, the axles don't. In fact, this is something I'm going to start talking about in 2024 more. Just like that Genesis Jeep that we just showed you, you do not have to spend a ton of money. It's all based on the size tire you want to go with and how much you want to optimize the suspension travel. If you choose something other than a Curry, you are only limiting yourself in up travel, okay? Because the Curry differential is laid back, what that does is it allows for more up travel. The upper link is moved back and it allows that differential to go up higher without hitting the radiator or the front of the engine or something else. So, you know, all you guys, you can do whatever you want. You can run a frickin' Sterling in the front, but you're gonna have to bump it out before it gets into something. So if you want the full maximum performance and you see me ripping around in Terramoto, then you gotta go with what we recommend.
Okay, Bruce Graham says, I have an 06 LJR, overlanding with trailer, sand dunes, minor rock crawling. Want smooth roads and trails. Want to stay coil springs.
Yeah.
Do I have to do a body lift? And which lift do I need? Currently on 35s, may go to 37s.
Okay, so if you do our Tracer suspension, you do not have to do a body lift. Now I know he said he wants to stay on coils. That's up to him. Here's the deal. By the time you source standard coil springs and a good aftermarket shop, you're within a couple $100 of an actual coilover. And an actual coilover will give you a dual rate. So now, as you go through the stroke of the suspension, it's adjustable by you, by the way. But the Tracer suspension does not require a body lift. So that would be one of the benefits to doing it that way. But I would highly recommend that you get over the coil spring thing and go to a coilover. You're talking about a much better quality shock, the true dual rate, all adjustable, especially for overland. You can have the secondary nuts kick in sooner so that it's, you know, as you load the vehicle, it's taking that up better. Now you're going to be on a bind-free suspension so the joints don't wear out. All of the joints are lubable and rebuildable years from now. You're able to go to a bigger gas tank. You can go to a 26-gallon gas tank. So, you know, much heavier duty components. The bolts, the brackets, everything is made for, you know, 20 years of off-roading to your heart's content. So I would definitely urge that. And by the way, I'm speaking from a perspective of I do it myself. So I also overland, but I do it in my JL. But I've got our, you know, kind of suspension on there. And we pull a trailer that weighs about 2,000 pounds. And, you know, it is absolutely like a Cadillac. I call it the luxury overlander. And I can tell you, anywhere we go, there's a crowd of people that come over and want to know about the suspension. And I take them for a ride and they can't believe it. They're like blown away on how smooth it is and what we can easily tackle. And it's not that I'm saying you want to go fast. You don't have to go fast. You can still go the speed that you want to go, but you're going to do it in a whole different level of comfort. And one of these days I need to like film going down either a washboard road or something rough and holding like a soda or a drink in the cup holder and just show you how smooth it is. It's really incredible. So
Steve Waterman asks, what is the weight difference between 4.0 liter and 5.3 LS?
The 4.0 liter is the heaviest engine made. It's literally designed in the 50s, and it is a lot of cast iron. The newer engines are much lighter, and I want to say it's 150 pounds lighter. It's a lot. It is a lot. So, yeah.
What is the ideal axle with 48 JK? 4A JK, sorry.
The ideal axle for a JK?
Yeah.
Well, everything we're doing now is what we call 70 inches wide. So, and they call that WMS, or wheel mounting surface. So, yeah, I don't want to change pictures, but if you take off the wheel,
An ideal width.
It's that flat spot, you know, where the wheel would bolt up to. So 70 inches from side to side. Now, I happen to believe that the high pinion axles, regardless of the brand you go with, high pinion is an absolute must. It gets the drive shafts up and protects them. Now, in addition to that, you know, we talked about the Curry axles, how they're rolled back, and it allows everything to compress and without, you know, binding and bunching up or hitting the bottom of the engine. So, you know, Curry's definitely the front runner on that, and probably close second would be Dynatrac. And then, you know, of course, there's all the other ones, or junkyard axles or whatever. But, you know, if you're going to run a 40-inch tire, you need to at least be on a 60, a 35 spline 60. Then we're running 40 spline in the rear and 35 in the front. So those are all some good points for you to look at when you're looking at axles, and, you know, kind of make your choice from there.
Any good cooling options for us JK guys with the 3.6? Hate running 217 to 220 down here in Florida. Robert Fisher.
So Jennings is in the same boat, by the way. That's where her Jeep likes to run.
Yeah.
And part of that is based on the emissions. Like, this is how a lot of these newer vehicles are set, is so that they run hot to burn clean. So it's not necessarily a function of the radiator or the engine. Now, I say that, but I don't have no idea what you've done with this Jeep. If you've been out mudding, then your radiator's probably clogged, and you need to go either take it out or go to the high pressure car wash and spray that thing with a bunch of cleaner and really blow the muck out of your radiator. You wouldn't believe, you know, how damaging that is. And the fan might be screwed up, and there's other factors. But unless you start going through one by one, you know, checking the thermostat, checking the fan connections, checking the radiator, you know, the coolant, you've got to go through all these things. And, you know, I see people's Jeeps and they've got, you know, some aftermarket bumper with the winch sitting directly in front of the radiator. You know, on all ours, the winches sit down low so that we're not blocking the airflow. These are all factors that nobody's taken into consideration when they're building their Jeep. They're just out buying parts, and unfortunately the person selling them to you isn't either knowledgeable enough or truthful enough to tell you that that's going to be a problem. So sorry about that.
Okay, Dave Ochoa says LJ stock 4.0 with some tracer parts with the axle pushed forward. Stock radiator and drag link at full passenger stuff are too close for comfort. Move radiator up, or do you recommend a different radiator? Already have a 1-inch body lift. Last little detail to iron out. Yeah,
so when we build the tracer, we have a radiator that's shorter. So we shorten that radiator up. And when we do that, it's also thicker, right? Because you can't just make the radiator smaller, it's gonna run hot. You've got to actually change the design. And we have a radiator specially built for the tracer. So maybe call in and talk to Andrew about that.
Okay, Reggie says 2013 JKUR with 392 and 8-speed from AMW. Do you know if the Elite cross members fit the slightly different dimensions? I don't know how different they are.
Yeah, that could be a challenge. Some of the newer transmissions are quite a bit bigger, so that front cross member might be a challenge. You'd have to either get me some measurements or take me some pictures so I could see it and check it out. and then we could talk about what's possible. But I know we had a customer that did our, they bought our Elite roller like this, and they took it to a V8 conversion shop, and the guy cut the cross member down, you know, so virtually, you know, how thick it was, he cut it in half. And I'm like, no, you can't just do that. That's not how this works. So yeah, you're asking the right question, and you definitely need to be cognizant of that. But we'd have to do some checking to see if that we can make that fit without hacking our cross member for sure.
Okay, DJ asks, is there any way to run the larger JKU gas tank before putting the Elite kit in? Interested in how it mounts.
No, so if you want to do that, you have to do everything, right? Because we have a 25-gallon that you can put in with the factory coils, coil springs, and factory shocks. But once you want to go to that 36, no way. So let's take a look here. So here's the 25. And I think we've got some pictures on here. So let's, remember, if you click on the picture, it gets bigger, and then, okay, so here's what it looks like. This is the 25-gallon with our Elite suspension, but when you do the 36-gallon, it changes altogether. And we give you some dimensions that you can check, you know, yourself, crawl underneath and look. So let's now go over to the 36, which I think is the one you're asking about. Of course, everybody wants the 36-gallon without having to buy the rest of the stuff. This guy, this is what I have, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. We also offer this in an aluminum skid plate now too. What happened there? Come on. I hit the wrong button. You can see it still tucks up real nice. Nothing's hanging down low, which is a definite benefit, or a must as far as I'm concerned. And this one we also give you the diagram too. But what I'm talking about right now is, if you look at this picture, can they see that pretty good? Mm-hmm. This part right here goes up and bolts onto our Elite cross member. So I was going to see if I have a picture of that. We're getting close to a picture of that. No, okay. Let me go over to the Elite. Let's see. Let's see if we have. Here's a rolling chassis. We usually give some.
Brian J says, hello from Rhode Island. Still working at a snail's pace on the YJ. Hope to be ordering a gas tank, sliders, bumpers, and fenders soon. Eventually a cage too, but it's slow going.
Nice, nice. Okay, so this is the cross member I'm talking about right here, the rear between the two shock towers, and that's where that tank bolts up to. Because we take out the factory cross member that the tank normally goes to. No, I guess that's all we have in the way of pictures. I can try and get some better pictures down the road.
Billy says, hey Tony, I'm running steel wheels and have had discount tire balance my new 37s, Cooper STT Pros, and I have a shake from 45 to 60 miles per hour. Is it the new tires, wheels damaged, or do I have to check steering?
No, it's probably the tire or the wheel, and most likely the tire. You've got one tire that's not right. So here's what I do. When I go to the tire shop, I watch them balance my tires. And while that tire and wheel is on the balancer, you can see if the treads move in or if it looks like it's hopping. Sometimes tires just, you know, come out of the mold funny. And I'll tell them right away, I'll be like, I don't want that tire, change it, you know. So if you can figure out which one that is and then go back to the tire shop and just be like, hey, you know, I want you to swap this one. If they're pretty new, they should do it without any hassle. Okay.
Matt asked, did that other Jeep JK sell yet?
Not yet, not yet. I sent it to a lot of people, but it's still available.
TJ, is the AX15 transmission strong enough for an LS swap? Novak says moderate horsepower and tire size, but I'm not sure what that means. I would do no more than an intake, headers, and a tune, running 43-inch stickies.
I think if you ask anybody, they're going to say no. It's not enough, but look, I've babied stuff for a long time. If you just have an appreciation for what you have and don't, dump the clutch on your 43s and try and keep up with a rock buggy, you could probably make it last for a while, but just know that's going to be your weak link for sure.
All right, last question.
Okay, I know we've
Doing
run quite a bit
a front
over.
stretch with my TJ using the twisted Pitman arm and Curry 60.
Yeah.
Trying to get the most amount of stretch possible.
Yep.
How close can the track bar get to the Pitman arm before creating issues?
Yeah, typically I leave a cardboard width, so like an 1/8 inch. And you should be able to get 4, darn near 5 inches of movement forward by using that combination. So on a TJ, I think that's what he said, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we designed that for. So you don't have to move the steering box, but you can move everything forward, and that's a lot. So, all right, cool. All right, let me see what else I got here. Remember, don't miss next week's. That's when we're doing our December 20th, next Wednesday, is when we're doing our annual Christmas giveaway. And of course, we'll be talking about Jeeps and fun stuff as well. And our final event is next Friday here, our Christmas crawl.
This Friday.
This Friday, yeah. And remember, on our website, we've got all of our events are right here. And this has the entire 2024 calendar is now listed, and you can sign up for these right now. So
Nice.
Go over there, and that was under company and events. So make sure that you want to get out there and have fun with us. All right, that's all I got. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate all the questions. Hopefully that was helpful. If you need more information, feel free to shoot me a message or an email.